Dealing with expectations and disappointment is a part of life. It happens, and we just have to learn to find ways to cope with it and to deal with it. Disappointment is an emotion. It is a form of sadness, a feeling of loss, a feeling of disappointment, but it is an emotion. Our perceptions of the world is influenced by our expectations. And through our expectations, we then create disappointment, or we have disappointment in our lives. Now, an expectation is the feeling or a belief that something will or should happen now or in the future. It's that belief or that knowing that this should happen, or I want this to happen. And then the disappointment is when it doesn't happen, when our expectations are not met. So when expectations are not met, this can lead to a feeling of disappointment, of frustration, of anger. And this alone can cause sadness, can cause you to be unhappy. And it's just a way that just really can get you into your emotions. So when your expectations are not met, this leads to disappointment, which in turn leads to a feeling of sadness, or the emotion of sadness. So what can you do to help you to manage your own expectations, to decrease or minimize the level of disappointment that you have? So one thing is realize that expectation is a human emotion. It is part of life, but it is also about having those realistic expectations that can help you to not feel disappointment, to not feel that you are in this pit of sadness and pit of disappointment, and these sort of negative emotions are not overwhelming you. If you've been following me on my videos, you know that I do like to give tips or advice or how-tos. And today is no exception. Is how can you start to eliminate those expectations or that feeling of disappointment? So tip number one, learn to let go. So when your expectations are not met and you are in this pit of negative emotions or negative feelings, don't ignore these emotions. Instead, acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge how you are feeling right now, and find a way to let go of that expectation. Because when you let go, this enables you to start to move forward, and it will help you to move forward. So learn to let go. 2, appreciate what you have already. So if you are wanting something, or when your expectation hasn't been met and there's that feeling of disappointment, look at what you have got, look at what you've achieved, look at where you are right now, and start to appreciate that. Appreciate where you are right now, appreciate what you have right now, and this will also help you to let go as well. So number 3 is have realistic expectations. So some expectations can be very unrealistic, and there's a lot of hope in there and the wanting, but is it realistic? Is it realistic to expect that? So start to really look at your expectations. Are they realistic or aren't they? And just find a way to not have these expectations that are unrealistic, but to more focus on your realistic expectations. I hope that makes sense to you. Number 4 is learn from your past. Learn from before, when expectations weren't met. What did you learn from it? What experiences did you get from that? How did you feel? What can you do to shift that, to change it? And again, this then can help you to learn to let go, appreciate what you've got, set realistic expectations, or through learning from the past. So learn from your past expectations. And number 5 is communicate with others as well as with yourself when expectations haven't been met. Is it due to you expecting something from somebody else and they haven't come through with it? Instead of sitting in those negative feelings, maybe communicate that A, you had these expectations, B, they weren't met. It could be that the other person didn't realize, or it could have been something that was out of their control, or maybe they didn't acknowledge to themselves that you were expecting something from them. So communicate with others when your expectations haven't been met, but also communicate to yourself when your own expectations haven't been met. Were they unrealistic? Were they realistic? What is it that caused them not to be met? So communication is key in this one. But at the end of the day, remember that you are human with human emotions, and these are emotions that you will feel on a daily basis. So just allow yourself to experience them, even the negative ones, even the ones of disappointment and sadness. There will come times when you are disappointed through your expectations not being met, and that's okay. Sit with it, learn from it, but above all, remember to live your life with confidence.